And we have with us as well, joining us from Cllr, Michelle Mulherin, who's Fine Gael candidate in Mayo. Michelle, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Are you in favour of this cross-party love-in?
I think we would serve the electorate better by straight talking, and actually I'm on the doors, and I think even in hardship people appreciate straight talk because at least they know they're operating from solid ground. I would just like to take issue with the idea that what has happened to Fianna Fáil and so many of their TDs and ministers stepping down is a generational shift, or the party is going through a renewal. Let's face it, Brian Cowan would have the confidence of everybody, but for the fact that Fianna Fáil is facing a meltdown at the next general election. So it isn't really the state of the country that has been the problem, and I think it has been very exposed in the past few weeks by comments of Brian Cowan, and with great conviction. And in fact, even listening to him tonight, I can tell, and I think most people could hear, that he had a heavy heart about, I suppose, all that has happened, and indeed the man has taken a lot self-inflicted, I might say. But I think that until actually Fianna Fáil acknowledge and wake up to the fact of the problems that they have created for this country and deal with their problem of disassociation with the problems they have created, they cannot be party to political reform. And I'd just like to say, well done, Avril. I don't know if you're a councillor or not, or what your experience is as an elected representative, but I mean, let's be straight here. Enda Kenny has been talking for the past number of years about government reform, abolishing the Seanad, more scrutiny in the Dáil and so on, as opposed to having these massive tribunals at a great expense to the taxpayer.
Other candidates here on this. Michelle Mulherin, returning to you in Castlebar, your views on that announcement of the Fianna Fáil front bench?
Well, I might just continue and say that in relation to political reform particularly, I feel that the job would be best placed with somebody who has some experience in the Seanad as an elected person, in the Dáil as an elected person, and maybe even somebody who has had experience in the cabinet, and Fianna Fáil can draw from people of that experience. I don't think it's a serious commitment, and I would agree with what Ken said. I mean, you know, we're heading into an election and Fianna Fáil are trying to repackage with window dressing, and I'd just like to say, I say that with due respect, and I think any young person who puts their name forward is to be commended, but unfortunately we have to pay for the sins of our father, and there are legacy issues there. In relation to the appointment of the new spokesperson for Justice, John Curran, I just think it seems a bit ridiculous that we have a Fianna Fáil spokesperson for Justice and then we have a different Minister for Justice, two different people within the party. I mean, that actually doesn't make sense. So beyond that, really what Fianna Fáil have done in relation to their front bench really doesn't interest me, and I don't know that it interests the general public.
Okay, Michelle,
I think with respect, Ewan is mixing his metaphors. Fine Gael are like Fianna Fáil, then we're like PDs. Fine Gael, first of all, I might just say that I just find it strange that, or bewildering, that anybody would think that any party, and any party worth its salt, wouldn't put forward its own policies and debate them fully, be challenged upon them, and stand over their policies, and no matter what party you are. So this isn't like the world is falling apart or the ceiling is going to come down in Ireland. I think we know what has been causing us or bringing us to their knees. What I would say, like, let's look at it historically. Before the last general election, you had Fianna Fáilers saying that the worst thing for the country would be a possible coalition of Fine Gael, Labour and the Greens. And the next thing after the general election, they go into power with the Greens. Now, I'm not aware of any consensus or any agreement between Fianna Fáil and the Greens before going into the last government. Now, we could say, look at the results of that, but I would be very hopeful that, considering the length of time Fianna Fáil has been in government, that and the way it's obviously gone to their head, that a lot more grounded policies which are being put forward by Fine Gael would actually be of benefit to the country.
And do you agree, Michelle, that Fine Gael has more in common now with Fianna Fáil than Labour? Because we have seen these policy divisions emerge between Labour and Fine Gael over the last couple of weeks as the election campaign has begun to heat up, particularly in relation to the budget adjustment that Labour deem necessary.
Well, look, At this stage, I'd like you to tell me what Fianna Fáil policies are, because I can tell you one thing. We've experienced a few Fianna Fáil policies in Mayo, and they basically amount to non-delivery to our county, and I'm sure it'll be repeated around the country. Look, Fine Gael have their own policies. If now Micheál Martin, whether it's political reform or any other issue, feels that he has some agreement with Fine Gael, well then that's fair enough. But in fairness, Micheál Martin is now the party leader. If he had a lot of bright ideas about changing things, he definitely was at the cabinet table, and I feel that's the time, and he's had many years to invoke some change. Look, a lot of what's going on in Fianna Fáil now is window dressing. They're still I suppose caught up in the heights of power. They feel they have a God-given right to power, and that's the honest truth. And it's about time we have change, and it's about time we've had a general election. We should have had one before now, because nothing good is going to happen in this country till we have a general election.
You're closing the side door that Eamon Gilmore says you have open for Fianna Fáil.
As far as I'm concerned, in Fine Gael, we have our policies. We have very robust policies, more so than any other party.
Will you do business with Fianna Fáil, I suppose, is the bottom line question.
Fianna Fáil, any party that they've ever had anything to do with has basically been liquidated. As far as I'm concerned, as somebody involved in the Fine Gael party, I don't see anything in common between us and Fianna Fáil.
Okay. Michelle Mulherin, you're a candidate in Mayo for Fine Gael, as we said earlier on. There isn't a place that hasn't been badly hit by unemployment, but I know that the West is suffering to a great extent. Your ideas for job creation, what do you think of this €500 million suggested fund by Labour?
Okay. I don't know the detail of what they propose, and I think that's probably the most important thing, because the country was awash with money before, and money was being thrown at things, and we see we got very poor value for money. It may be just a turn of phrase on Ian's part, but I don't think governments create jobs. I believe that the job of government, other than they create jobs in the public sector, government actually should create an environment where people can operate their business and where jobs grow out of that, and that requires a certain sensitivity. And what basically small and medium businesses are saying to us, that their overheads are crippling them, and that this is a major problem. Also, we know there's a cash flow problem. So I don't think it's as simple, even though it sounds good to say that, 500 million. I think that there are so many levels that this has to be tackled on, whether it's business, employers, employees, and so on. And I think that the Fine Gael approach is quite pragmatic.
And we're joined from our studio in Castlebar by Michelle Mulherin, who's Fine Gael candidate in Mayo. Mary Minahan, political correspondent with the Irish Times, is with us also, and Ken Murray, covering the general election for BBC Radio Ulster. And we want to talk about our hopeful candidates' chances of election. And Michelle, I'm going to start with you in Mayo. Now, you nearly made it in 2007. You're in a 5-seater there. We can safely assume, I suppose, that for Fine Gael, Enda Kenny and Michael Ring are shoe-ins. So does that mean that you're battling with John O'Mahony for that third Fine Gael seat?
Have you not heard we're going for 4 seats in Mayo?
Well, I know that, but you will have a battle.
Seriously,
you will have a battle on your hands. You've got Dara Cllr, who's probably a shoe in there as well. Jerry Cowley is a strong chance for Labour. So you've got John O'Mahony and yourself there for that seat. Who do you see your battle being with?
Okay, my attitude is, of course, in politics you have to be mindful of what's going on around you, but really this is more a race against the clock. This is about, I suppose, first of all, it's about dealing with people on the door, listening to what they have to say, getting in effect an instruction from them or a mandate as to where they're at, and it's about responding to that, and that's all part of a campaign. But I really don't get too obsessed about what someone else is doing.
Have we got you there still, Michelle?
I have I'm a councillor since 1999, and in the last local elections I topped the poll in our town council and in our county council.
Strong female ticket there as well. Sinn Féin running 2 female candidates, Therese Ruan and Rose Conway Walsh, and you also have a number of independents running. I'm just wondering where you see the doorstep battle happening for you.
Well, clearly for Fine Gael, the 4 candidates are widely spread geographically. We did come close the last time, so there is an issue of vote management. Each of the candidates have something, you could say, different to offer, and we're looking in the Ballina, North, East Mayo area to return a Fine Gael seat there. We had a Fine Gael seat there before, and there's no reason now that we shouldn't have a Fine Gael TD as part of a Fine Gael government with the Mayo Taoiseach.
I was just going to say, Michelle, my late father was a Mayo man, so I'm familiar with Mayo pretty well. And as I would read it, you're in Castlebar. That's Beverly Flynn's neck of the woods, and she was elected the last time as an independent when Fianna Fáil decided not to run a candidate in Castlebar. My read of this is that you're obviously chasing the floating voter that put Beverly Flynn in, and if there's a shift in Mayo...
Sorry, I'm in Castlebar studio, but I'm actually the Ballina candidate, which is North and East Mayo.
Right, well, you're going to be in battle with Cllr for the North Mayo vote. So if there's a shift against Fianna Fáil in Mayo, and it reflects a shift nationwide, you could be in with a good chance of getting a